Gene Hackman's death sent shockwaves through the world, but the eerie silence that followed was far more unsettling than any horror film could capture. There were no screams, no signs of struggle, no witnesses, except for 3 dogs, Bear, Nikita, and Zina. They couldn't speak, but they understood fear. Fear echoed in their labored breaths, in the sudden starts during the night, in the mournful howls that pierced the silence. Bear and Nikita survived, but their eyes, forever changed, carried the weight of something dark. The police searched for clues, but the most telling evidence remained hidden, locked away in the memories of those silent witnesses. They saw it, they heard it, they smelled death. In the hallway of the home where Hackman and Betsy Arakawa met their tragic end, 2 shadows stood, Bear and Nikita. One was ash gray, the other jet black. These 2 survivors were the only ones left to bear witness to an event no one could fully comprehend. When the police arrived, the dogs were huddled together, their eyes reflecting the strobe of flashlight beams. They didn't bark, they didn't growl. It was a silence unlike any other, a profound understanding that their beloved companions were gone. Bear, ever loyal to Hackman, had followed him from room to room, a silent guardian. Even as his health declined, Bear stayed by his side. But was Bear the only one who truly knew what happened that night? Nikita, younger and more active, had been adopted by Betsy after Hackman's stroke. She became the bridge between them, an energetic companion for Hackman and a lively friend to Betsy. Yet, the darkness lurking behind Nikita's dark eyes seemed to hide something, the mystery of what she witnessed that night, something that would never be fully revealed. When animal rescuers arrived to retrieve the dogs, they noticed something strange. Despite being deeply attached to their owners, Bear and Nikita didn't react to the unfamiliar presence. They didn't bark or growl. There were no signs of struggle, no bite marks. The dogs sat still, as if paralyzed by the horror they had just experienced. Experts concluded that Bear and Nikita weren't simply scared. They were grieving, their silent mourning a testament to the loss they had endured. How did they know? Could Bear have sensed the danger before it even arrived? Hackman had once written to a friend, remarking that Bear always knew when something was wrong, often before Hackman did. Could Bear's brown eyes have witnessed something the investigators could never uncover? As silent witnesses to the tragedy, Bear and Nikita might hold the key to the final elusive truth about Hackman's death. Zina, though, was more than just a dog to Betsy Arakawa. She was her soulmate. Hackman had joked that Zina was Betsy's true companion, even though he was her husband. Zina was always by Betsy's side, whether in the garden or curled up at her feet. But when the investigation team entered the Santa Fe villa, they discovered a chilling sight: Zina's lifeless body, crammed into a tiny kennel and shoved into the darkest corner of the bathroom closet. This wasn't where Zina slept. Betsy always placed her bed at her feet, not hidden away in a forgotten corner. Why was Zina placed there? The mystery deepened. Was she the first to witness the horror that night? Did she die with the secrets that no one else would ever uncover? Gene Hackman's death sent shockwaves across the world, yet it was the eerie silence that followed that unsettled even the most hardened investigators. No screams, no struggle, no witnesses, except for 3 dogs, Bear, Nikita, and Zina. They couldn't speak, but they understood fear. It clung to them in the way they trembled, in their restless nights, in the mournful howls that shattered the quiet. Bear and Nikita survived, but their eyes, dark pools of something unknowable, carried the weight of a truth no one could decipher. The police scoured the home for evidence, yet the most haunting clues remained locked away in the memories of those silent witnesses. They saw it, they heard it, they smelled death. In the hallway where Hackman and Betsy Arakawa met their tragic end, 2 figures lingered, Bear and Nikita. One ash gray, the other jet black. The last souls left to bear witness to a night no one could fully explain. When the authorities arrived, the dogs were huddled together, their glassy eyes reflecting the sharp beams of flashlight strobes. They didn't bark, they didn't growl, they only stared, frozen in a silence that spoke louder than words. Bear, ever faithful to Hackman, had followed him from room to room, a quiet guardian. Even as Hackman's health declined, Bear never left his side. But was he the only one who truly understood what happened that night? Nikita, Younger and full of restless energy had been Betsy's choice after Hackman's stroke, a bridge between them, a source of light in dark times. Yet in the depths of Nikita's dark eyes, something else lurked. A knowledge she couldn't share, a horror she had witnessed, something that would never be spoken, only carried within her for the rest of her days. When animal rescuers arrived, they noticed something chilling. Despite their deep bond with their owners, Bear and Nikita barely reacted to the strangers. No growling, no barking, just an eerie stillness, as if paralyzed by what they had endured. There were no signs of struggle, no frenzied claw marks on the doors. Experts weren't just looking at frightened animals, they were looking at creatures grieving in silence. Their bodies carried no wounds, yet their spirits had been shattered. How did they know? Had Bear sensed the danger before it arrived? Hackman had once written to a friend, remarking that Bear always seemed to understand when something was wrong, often before he did. Could Bear's watchful eyes have witnessed something that investigators would never uncover? As the only living witnesses to a tragedy wrapped in mystery, Bear and Nikita might hold the final piece of the puzzle, one the world would never fully grasp. Zina wasn't just a dog, she was Betsy's soulmate, her constant shadow. But when investigators entered the Santa Fe villa, they found her lifeless body crammed into a tiny kennel, shoved into the darkest corner of the bathroom closet. That wasn't where she slept. Betsy never kept her there. So why was she hidden away? Had she seen something she wasn't meant to? Her death was as sudden as it was inexplicable. Her eyes frozen in terror. Her heart simply stopped. No injuries, no cause. Hours earlier, a neighbor had seen Betsy brushing Zina's fur, both at peace. Yet by night's end, Zina was gone. A single scratch on the closet door hinted at a desperate struggle. Who had put her there? And why? Hackman had once noted Zina's unease. She's been following Betsy everywhere, like she knows something's wrong. Did she sense danger? Was she trying to warn them? The final mystery. In the police report, Zina was misidentified as a brown shepherd, a minor detail, but one that erased her significance. Bear and Nikita survived, but Zina, she never left that house. And the question remains, why? Dogs possess an uncanny ability to sense danger before it strikes, an intuition that often defies human understanding. But Zina never barked. She didn't fight. She stayed close to Betsy, unwavering even in the presence of whatever, or whoever, lurked in the darkness. Could it be that the threat was so familiar that Zina didn't recognize it as danger? Meanwhile, Bear and Nikita, the only survivors, became the investigation's most perplexing witnesses. When police entered the house, they found the two dogs huddled together in silence. No barking, no growling, just an unnatural stillness, as if they knew something beyond human comprehension. If an outsider had been responsible, wouldn't they have reacted? The lack of fear, the absence of aggression, it all led to one chilling possibility. The perpetrator was someone they knew, someone they trusted. The dog's past behavior only deepened the mystery. Bear, once fiercely protective, had growled at a maintenance worker who had been inside the Hackman home just a year before. Nikita, on the other hand, had a bizarre fear of men wearing hats. Her heart rate would spike at the mere sight, as if the image was tied to some unspoken trauma. Their reactions weren't random. They were memories, buried deep, waiting to resurface. But it was Zina's behavior in the months leading up to the tragedy that was the most telling. Joey Padilla, an employee at Santa Fe Tales, recalled how Zina would tense up and growl at certain visitors, people who were familiar, yet no longer welcome in her presence. She had seen something that changed her. Even Betsy had noticed. She had confided in friends that Zina barked uncontrollably on moonless nights, as if warning of an unseen danger. Had she sensed what was coming? Had she tried, in her own way, to protect Betsy before it was too late? The theory that Zina's death was unnatural was never fully explored. No tests for poisoning, no examination for hidden injuries. But Joey Padilla had no doubt. Zina had witnessed something so terrifying that it broke her. Even Betsy had noticed. Zina barked wildly on moonless nights, as if sensing an unseen threat. Had she tried to warn Betsy? Her sudden death was never investigated, but Joey Padilla was certain. Zina had witnessed something so terrifying it broke her. While investigators questioned people, It was the animals who may have held the truth. Bear's growls, Nikita's anxious stares, silent echoes of that night. Some experts even suggested memory induction therapy to unlock what they had seen. Zinna's death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a clue. The truth may never fully emerge, but it lingers in the fearful eyes of Bear and Nikita, and in Zinna's memory, whispering that the story isn't over yet.